The NFL season has officially come to a close with the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And now we are just a few weeks away from the start of NFL free agency. But before we dive into the offseason, real quickly, I wanted to take a look back at 2024 and actually grade all of the top and most impressive players from every NFL team this season. Now, before we dive into this video, I want you to comment down below who has been your favorite player to watch in the NFL this season and why. Now, because we're going in alphabetical order, we're going to start off by talking about Trey McBride, the most impressive player for the Arizona Cardinals this season. Had over 111 catches for 1,100 yards, 2 touchdowns, while averaging 10.3 yards per catch. Watch this play here. Unbelievable contested grab, got 3 feet in bounds, and the route concept here is just inside release to a corner, and then we're going to just have, an out over here, one-on-one with the linebacker. A great catch here by Trey McBride, who has easily been one of the most impressive players on this Arizona Cardinals team this season, and this right here just goes to show Trey McBride had an unbelievable year. Now, next up is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this one was a little bit more difficult to actually pick a player. One player that was really impressive this year was Chris Lindstrom, but the guy I am picking is Bijan Robinson, man. This dude is an absolute stud at over 1,400 yards this year and 14 touchdowns with only 1 fumble, and also made a contribution in the receiving game, the passing game as well, with over 430 receiving yards and a touchdown there as well. Bijan Robinson is an absolute freak of nature and obviously deserves to be the most impressive player on this Atlanta Falcons team for the 2024 NFL season, but I wouldn't be, upset if you guys went for a guy like Chris Lindstrom, because he had an incredible year as well, especially when it came to run blocking. Now, for the Baltimore Ravens, you probably could have gone in multiple different directions here. Derrick Henry was the best running back in football by far, but Lamar Jackson had an unbelievable season, throwing for over 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. He added a combination of manipulation of defenders and a great deep ball accuracy. This dude was unbelievable. I mean, just take a look at this play. He's going to manipulate this deep safety, biting up, leaving this one-on-one deep ball, creating a yes-no read where he circles yes in his head and he throws his ball no matter what, right? So as this play starts to develop, you're going to see him quickly look over the middle of the field and start to look at that dig, right? We're gonna a route here. This safety is reading the quarterback's eyes. He's gonna jump up, leaving a one-on-one down the field with Rashad Bateman, and then you just take a look at the overall accuracy of this ball. Guys, unreal. Shout out to Lamar Jackson, definitely the most impressive player on the Ravens. Now, as for the Buffalo Bills, obviously, the MVP of the league was Josh Allen, throwing for over 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Really did, improve in terms of those turnovers compared to last season. He also ran for 12 rushing touchdowns as well. Had an unbelievable season, just like Lamar Jackson. I think you could argue who was better, but man, we're going to get 2 double crossing routes here over the middle of the field, and he just throws a really good ball to Keon Coleman. Off the play action fake to the running back, James Cook. Beautiful ball with pressure. I mean, couldn't be more perfect than that. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers, and this one was actually very difficult to come up with the player just because they didn't have a great season, right? Bryce Young started, then you got benched for Andy Dalton, and overall, they just weren't a great football team. So who I ended up picking was actually very impressive to me, a UDFA free agent wide receiver, Jalen Coker out of Holy Cross. I mean, this dude had a pretty good year. If you think about him being a UDFA, coming in here, making a difference through a training camp, and then becoming a guy who gets 32 catches for about 500 yards, 2 touchdowns, I think Jalen Coker is going to be a stud next year. And honestly, he's probably my most impressive player just because he did it as a UDFA. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears, and again, this team wasn't very good in terms of getting a lot of wins this season, but they did have some very interesting players, including Kyler Gordon, Kevin Byard, a couple of offensive linemen like Tevin Jenkins played pretty good, but I'm going to go with Jaylon Johnson, the DB, ranking number 11th among all cornerbacks in the NFL this season at about 42 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, 8 pass deflections, and had a forced fumble as well. Jaylon Johnson was easily one of the most impressive Chicago Bear players this season. Now, before we get any further into the video, because trust me, we have a lot to talk about, make sure you guys do me a big time favor, hit the like button if you want more of these type of videos, this format, but more importantly, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is free, it doesn't cost anything, and we will be breaking down the NFL throughout the entirety of the season, so make sure you join the family. Let's dive back in. Now, for the Cincinnati Bengals, I think we could all agree that putting up over 127 catches for 1,700 yards in 17 touchdowns is easily one of the most impressive players, not only on the Bengals, but the NFL as well. Now, you could also argue Joe Burrow was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year, especially once he started to get going later on in the season. But I'm just going to go with the safe answer here and go Ja'Marr Chase. This dude was absolutely incredible from every single standpoint that you can think of. Ja'Marr Chase is a different breed. Now, obviously for the Cleveland Browns, I think we can all agree that their most impressive player this year was Myles Garrett. I mean, 40 tackles, 14 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. He's unbelievable. However, unfortunately for the Browns, he did request a trade. Now, I have no idea where he is going to end up, but let me know in the comments down below. Where do you think Myles Garrett is going to get traded to? But again, with the Browns being so bad, Myles Garrett was one of their only impressive players this year. As for the Dallas Cowboys, again, feel like we can all agree, Micah Parsons, you could talk a little bit about maybe CeeDee Lamb. I think another guy that really came close for me was a guy like Tyler Smith, who ranked actually 15th among all guards in the NFL this year. Thought he had a really good season. You can look at maybe their fullback, but no, Micah Parsons, let's just be real. Micah Parsons was amazing once again this year, 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. Overall, only played in 13 games this year, but was still extremely productive. And man, if they are able to get a guy like Myles Garrett alongside Micah Parsons, that would be unbelievable. The Denver Broncos were another very interesting team, but let's just be honest, Pat Surtain II has already positioned himself to be the #1 rated cornerback in all of football. I feel like you probably could have maybe gave a big shout to Brandon Jones, a safety that they brought over this offseason, or maybe even a guy like Bo Nix. Both those guys were extremely productive, but Pat Surtain is just a different breed. Had 4 interceptions, 11 pass deflections, and had a forced fumble as well. Pat Surtain actually had an 85.1 coverage grade and also an 81.8 run defense grade. You don't really see too many corners be able to do both, but PS2 can do both. Man, now the Detroit Lions is one of the toughest teams to do right now because they got guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kevin Zeitler, Frank Ragnow, all ranking within the top 10 of their positions. And then you have Aiden Hutchinson, who is #1, even though he got injured. You have Brian Branch, but I'm actually going to go with Kirby Joseph. He actually ranked the #1 safety in football this year. I had a 90.4 overall run or defense grade, an 83.6 run defense grade, and a 91 coverage grade. That is absolutely unheard of. Kirby Joseph was easily one of the most impressive players this season for the Detroit Lions, but I would not be mad at you if you went literally anywhere else. This dude had 9 interceptions this year, had 8 over the past 2 seasons previous. This dude is a difference maker. Now, I'm going to be honest here. For the Green Bay Packers, there was, again, a lot of options. Xavier McKinney, you could go to Zach Tom or Josh Jacobs, but man, one guy who was extremely impressive to me Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie. Man, this dude is a heat-seeking missile. Look at this play here as we're going to shift these defensive linemen inside off the release, and he's going to bounce to the outside. This dude, like I said, heat-seeking missile, has insane speed for an inside linebacker, and he's going to be a big-time threat throughout his entire career for the Green Bay Packers. I cannot wait to see how he develops. Already love him. This season, Edgerrin Cooper had an unbelievable year. 57 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, a forced fumble, and had an interception as well. Again, dude's gonna be a stud. Houston Texans, another one of those teams who have a lot of players I really like. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, right? A bunch of really good ones, but the most impressive player this year, Derek Stingley, man. He really took a massive jump up and has been continuing to improve every single year. 5 interceptions this year compared to last year where he had, another 5. This dude has just been off of the charts ever since DeMeco Ryans has stepped in the building. This dude has been a game changer. Surprisingly enough, the Indianapolis Colts had some interesting players that we could have put on the most impressive board, but I'm just going to stay safe and go Jonathan Taylor. I mean, this dude had over 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, and pretty much was their backbone of their offense with Joe Flacco replacing AR, and then AR coming back. I mean, AR's got a lot of work to do, but if we want to talk about most impressive player this year and the backbone of this team, Jonathan Taylor is that guy all day, every day. Let me know if you disagree with me at any point at all. But for me, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, that's pretty impressive. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, another team that just wasn't amazing this season, but definitely had some guys stand out. On the defensive side of the ball, you could talk about Josh Hines-Allen. He had a big year, but rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas was productive with and without Trevor Lawrence, getting 87 receptions this year for over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, while averaging 14.7 yards per reception. It's kind of crazy. Brian Thomas was very impressive this year, and I expect him to be a top-end, wide receiver in the NFL for maybe even the rest of his career. Now, as for the Kansas City Chiefs, I wanted to switch it up a little bit. I thought about going Creed Humphrey. He was, again, I probably should have went Creed Humphrey, but one guy that impressed me personally this year was Trent McDuffie, man. He ranked 3rd among all DBs in football this year with a defensive grade of 82, a run defense grade of 81.6, even had a pass rush grade of 88.6, and then a coverage grade of 79.2. Man, I've been super impressed with Trent McDuffie as not only a cover corner, but someone who can come up and stop the run. In my opinion, he's so impressive, I had to put him on this list. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders, man. I don't think anyone will disagree with me when we say Brock Bowers was probably the most impressive player, maybe even in the NFL this year. The dude was absolutely off the charts. Actually did rank 3rd among all tight ends this year. But when you look at what he did from a production standpoint, this dude was off the charts, right? Over 112 catches, 1,109, just 6 yards short of that 1,200 mark. It also had 5 touchdowns as well. And when you take a look at the quarterback room in this team, I mean, man, shout out to Brock Bowers. Next year, they're going to get a quarterback, and we're going to see what Brock Bowers is truly all about. Now, for the LA Chargers, I actually went pretty simple and safe with this one, going with Justin Herbert as their most impressive player. I thought he had a really good season this year passing the football, but I wouldn't be mad if you guys said Rashawn Slater, probably the best tackle in football this year, at least top 3. And then you have Joe Alt, who also was very impressive defensively. Khalil Mack, Poona Ford was unbelievable in my opinion. Derwin James was up there. But I'm just going to go ahead and say Justin Herbert. He led this team, built connections, with some new players here. Ladd McConkey, right? The development of Quentin Johnston, right? I feel like he just had a good year. And you know what? I'll say he was their most impressive player. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The LA Rams is difficult, but I'm going to go with Jared Verse, the rookie out of Florida State, ranked 7th among all edge rushers in the NFL as a rookie. I also loved Omar Speights. Cameron Kitchen, you could go Puka Nacua all day, every day, but Jared Verse, you can tell, is going to be an absolute superstar in the NFL. I mean, take a look at what he did to the Detroit Lions, who have one of the best offensive lines in football. Goes right by and gets a sack on Jared Goff. This dude is incredible. Look at this, right? Just blows right by the tackle. Let's go, man. Jared Verse is so exciting to watch. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 to this video where I break down most surprising or even most disappointing as well. Let me know. Next up, the Miami Dolphins. Another very tough one. I thought about going Teron Armstead, Devon Achane, right? Aaron Brewer was pretty good this year. Calais Campbell, Zach Sealer, Jalen Ramsey. But ultimately, I'm going to go with the tight end who was actually a pretty big X factor for them and was all over the football field in Jonnu Smith. This dude was unbelievable. I know he's absolutely wide open here versus a bad Raiders secondary. But when you look at overall what his production was as a player for the Miami Dolphins, it's incredible. Jonnu Smith had over 88 catches for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns. Yeah, a lot of 8s. I mean, he was 4 yards away from 88 for 888 and 8 touchdowns. I mean, this dude was unbelievable this year. Shout out to Jonnu Smith. Great touchdown right here. I know you guys can barely see it. We'll rewind it. But a great grab here. Great hands to bring it in through the drop. I mean, let's go, man. Let's just be honest. The Minnesota Vikings had some really good players, but in terms of most impressive, we have to say Sam Darnold. Nobody expected him to come in here and almost lead them to a division-winning season. They came up 1 game short on the last week of the year, but ultimately had 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 4,300 yards. And the reason that this is the most impressive on the Minnesota Vikings is, once again, nobody expected him to do it. No one expected that once JJ McCarthy got hurt that this team would have a playoff type of season. But man, Sam Darnold impressed everybody, throwing for a career high 35 touchdowns, and also just being a great leader throughout the year. Now, I really wanted to go Drake May for the New England Patriots, but I just feel like it doesn't really make sense when you have a guy like Christian Gonzalez who, you know, just had a really good year for a really bad team. I feel like Christian Gonzalez deserves a lot more credit for what he has done for this New England Patriots secondary. He had 2 interceptions this year, 11 pass deflections, and was overall one of the best corners in the NFL during this season. Drake May was good, but I wouldn't say he was their most impressive player. He still has a lot to do. Man, one of the toughest ones to do was the New Orleans Saints. They were not great. Derek Carr was having a good year before getting injured, and you know, wasn't a great year, but it was a decent year. Chris Olave was injured. Kamara was cool. I'm just going to go ahead. I almost did Carl Granderson, but I'm going to end up going with Demario Davis. He's just, man, at 36 years old, to do what he's continuing to do is very impressive. Over 136 tackles, 69 solo, 2 sacks, interception as well. Demario Davis is impressive because he's doing what he's doing at 36 years old. You don't see that too often. Shout out to Demario Davis, man. Absolute legend. For the New York Giants, this one was actually pretty easy for me just because what Malik Nabers did with the quarterbacks that he had in Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock and Daniel Jones, I felt like he continued to be impressive no matter what happened. At over 170 targets, caught 109 balls for 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. Malik Nabers is another one of those rookies that I just thought had a great year and deserves to be on this list. Now, the New York Jets were probably one of the toughest ones to do. They had a pretty good offensive line this year. I'm going to go with the center, Joe Tippmann. He actually ranked 7th among all centers in the NFL this year. Had an offensive grade of 73.4, a run block grade of 73.3, or 77.3, excuse me, and then a pass block grade of 63.1. Even though he wasn't the best center in football, he's still an impressive year because he's only a 2nd round pick from last year. So to play that well this early in his career, pretty impressive to me. But outside of that, they just didn't have a lot of great players this year, man. Another really hard team to do was the Philadelphia Eagles. And honestly, I'm going to give a couple of players this nod. One being Cooper DeJean as a rookie, ranking the #1 slot corner in football is incredible, right? Zach Bond, unbelievable year. He's currently a free agent, I believe. He was different. Then from there, you have Quinyon Mitchell, who ranks 7th among all DBs in the NFL this year. You have Jalen Carter, who is an absolute animal. You have Saquon Barkley. I mean, you could put all of these guys on a list of their own. These guys were incredible. Jordan Mailata, A.J. Brown, Lane Johnson, Saquon, Jalen Hurts. These guys were incredible. But I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean because he's a rookie, and he ranked as the #1 slot corner, nickel corner in the NFL this year, including getting a pick 6 in the Super Bowl to help them win another ring, man. Shout out to Cooper DeJean. One of my favorite players on the Steelers this year. Obviously, you could talk about TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith all year long. Peyton Wilson was also impressive. But I'm going to go with Nick Herbig, man. To me, this dude stepped in, played a major role with some injuries, and made some big-time plays. Right here, you see him blow by the left tackle, get a strip sack off the back end. Look at him lower his shoulder, get underneath that left shoulder of the tackle, and then boom, force a fumble where Peyton Wilson, the rookie, picks it up and runs back all the way for a nice little touchdown. Guys, Nick Herbig, to me, is so impressive in terms of what he was able to do this year. I think he's only going to get better, man. He had a pass rush grade of 91.5, which was actually higher than TJ Watt. Dude's going to be insane. The 49ers were another one of those difficult teams to give an impressive player to. I'm going to, just because they have a lot of guys that were impressive in terms of George Kittle, Nick Bosa, but I'm going to go with Fred Warner here. He had over 131 tackles, 76 solo, 4 forced fumbles, which means he had back-to-back years with 4 forced fumbles, had 1 sack, 2 interceptions, as well as a touchdown and 9.5 run stuffs. Fred Warner is just that guy that you know is going to be productive no matter what. Ranked 2nd among all linebackers in the NFL this year and had a grade of an 89.2 and a coverage grade of 88.4. The dude's insane. For me, the Seattle Seahawks, again, had a couple of guys I liked. Leonard Williams, Devon Witherspoon. You can go to Kenneth Walker, Charles Cross. Even Geno Smith had a kind of impressive year this year. But I'm going to go with Julian Love, man. I feel like he really stood out coming over here the past couple of years. He's just been really productive for the Seattle Seahawks team. And again, I thought he had a big-time year with, 79 solo tackles, 3 interceptions, and a couple of forced fumbles as well. Shout out to Julian Love. He deserves to be on this list. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield just had too good of a season to not put him on this list. Over 4,500 yards passing, 41 touchdowns, did throw 16 interceptions, which, yes, that is not great, but overall ranked as the top 6 quarterback in the NFL this year, and a lot of people had already written him off as being a bust, and over the past couple of years, he's just been, productive for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. We'll see if he can do it next year, but he's definitely the most impressive player on this team for 2024. Tennessee Titans were awful this year, to be honest. Jeffrey Simmons, T'Vondre Sweat were the only really guys that I thought about for this spot. Overall, just not a great year, not a great season. But Jeffrey Simmons has always just been extremely productive at the interior of the defensive line. Had an 80.2 defense grade and a 73.4 run defense grade and an 81.6 pass rush grade this year, while bringing in 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and also having 76 total tackles from the interior of the defensive line. Is kind of unbelievable. So shout out to Jeffrey Simmons. Definitely deserved to be this player. And last but not least, we have rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. Easily one of my favorite players to watch. This year completed 69% of his passes for over 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, to 9 interceptions through the air, and then on the ground had about 900 rushing yards for 6 touchdowns, averaging about 6 yards per carry. But overall, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, ranked 5th overall, had a grade of 84.7 in the passing game and a 90 in the running game. Jayden Daniels might even be the most impressive player on this entire list. So with that being said, we completed every single team, a bunch of rookies on this list, but a bunch of guys that deserve, that award of being the most impressive player on their team this year. Let me know in the comments down below if you disagree with any of them, and comment down below who you thought was very impressive in terms of the 2024 NFL season. Let me know what kind of video do you want to see next. You want to see disappointing players? Do you want to see surprising players? Let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.